Good morning, Marysville, and welcome to Charger Chat. To those who just turned into it, Charger Chat is a student-run live TV show where we interview various random people around Marysville. Today, we have Brian, one of the owners of Wandering Havoc Games, and I am your host, Emily.
And I'm her co-host, Chris.
And Good morning, Brian.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Doing pretty well.
Good. Now, you work at a gaming shop, so how do you define gaming?
Gaming?
Yeah.
Gaming is pretty much anything you do with a bunch of friends to pass the time, honestly. I mean, it could be something simple, anything, just as long as you guys all agree on the rules and have fun with it.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And wouldn't you say sometimes, like, in games, you change the rules randomly and then just to spice things up and stuff?
That would be Munchkin, but yes.
That's a fun game. That's a really fun game.
Yes.
Now, how did you get into gaming, if I may ask?
I kind of went through two different phases. I had a friend of mine that he ran a bunch of role-playing games when I was really little, like 10. And one was this goofy little game called Tales from the Floating Vagabond, which is basically like, it's basically like a cartoon universe.
Yeah.
So it was fantastic. And then the other one was like the superheroes game. And then after a while, we kind of moved on to other things. And then my wife started gaming with the group 2 or 3 nights a week. And she's like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do this. And then finally she drugged me into the game store. And I started playing Magic while they were playing that. And so that was sort of how I kind of got looped back around into it again.
Okay.
So
like, out of all the games, what would you say was your favorite game as a child, like, growing up?
Oh, gosh. My brother and I spent weeks on end playing Axis and Allies. And I don't really know that it's, like, my favorite game, but it's the one we played most often.
What is Axis and Allies?
Axis and Allies is sort of a World War II simulator. You know, you've got the 3 Allied powers, and then the 2 Axis powers is the playable teams.
Oh, I see.
And since it was just my brother and I, one of us would always be Axis and one of us would always be Allies. And I hate to say this, but my younger brother normally won. He's just more strategic than I am.
Yeah.
Unless I started cheating and building things I couldn't pay for.
Well, that's how I beat my brothers. And what was the hardest game you've ever played? Like the most difficult rules or strategies, etc.
Trying to think. The most difficult game.
Yeah.
There have been a couple, and I'm struggling to remember the name. There was one that we tried to play in the store a couple of years ago that we just couldn't even, like, we sat there and read the rules for like 45 minutes and couldn't figure it out. And I struggled to remember the game because we moved on. We never went back and played it again.
How long ago was that?
That was when we were in our older location, so that was like 3 years ago now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we've moved a couple of times since we've opened. So.
Well, it's good to find other places to go.
Yeah, well, the first place was we were buried upstairs around the corner, up the stairs, and like people couldn't find the store. So, unless they're really determined to find the store. So.
It's like a maze, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you, like, talked about playing with your brother, and you even talked about playing with your wife. So who did you generally play with, like, these games when you were growing up?
Mainly friends. The core group of my friends, we would kind of, we all went and did the same type of thing. We were all in choir together. We all did, like, we all took piano lessons or violin lessons or something. We were all playing some kind of an instrument.
Yeah.
And the teacher would show up at the same house on the same day, and we'd all just take turns having lessons. And while that was going on, we would find something to do, and sometimes we'd play like rummy or some sort of card game, or we'd break out a board game, or we'd just go run around outside. So
Yeah. Were you ever teased for one of the games that you played? Like, were you ever made fun of for, say, like, playing a game that was for My Little Ponies or something? I don't know. Like,
I honestly don't think so. I was teased for a whole lot of stuff growing up.
I'm sure.
But I guess all the other things were just so high on the list that
Yeah.
the game didn't really matter.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself being a gamer then, since like that's what the classification would be?
Yeah, I kind of would have to be anymore. I mean, maybe not so much when I was younger, but because gaming wasn't a central part of my life.
Yeah.
But definitely now that I'm older and I've started, didn't start, but I now own a game store.
Yeah.
It kind of becomes central to your life at that point.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I could tell.
So
Yeah.
besides for board games and card games, do you ever play the video games or computer games?
it depends. They have to be really good.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, like I lost I don't know how many hours to Skyrim.
Oh, Skyrim.
I know I logged over 200 hours in Final Fantasy X or
Oh,
9,
man.
one of the two. But other than that, like, just games that continuously come out, like I played a little bit of Assassin's Creed, but
Yeah.
I'm so busy between my game store and my regular day job that I don't have a lot of time to just sit down and play video games. So
Yeah. Now, how did you become the store manager?
store owner.
I meant owner, sorry.
So the other two owners, Dan and Craig, actually started the thing up. And then about 2 or 3 years into it, I was hanging around at the game store a lot.
Yeah.
And they wanted somebody to kind of be a tiebreaker because they were always trying to decide what to do, and then they needed
Yeah.
a third person to be a tiebreaker. And then there was also, they were a little bit behind on a couple of things like bills and that kind of stuff. So they needed to raise a little bit of money quickly, and there were a couple of other reasons
Yeah.
that kind of weighed in. So they decided to bring on a third owner, and
Yeah.
I fortunately was the person.
Yeah.
So
Now, we'd love to talk more, but we first have to take a quick break and everything. And stay tuned, Marysville. Stay tuned, Marysville. Sorry for that. And we will be right back with Brian, and we're going to watch a video about werewolves
Oh.
instead of werewolves.
Hey, so how was your trip to the Arctic Ocean?
Oh, it was just fantastic. I swam with narwhals, if you can believe it.
Narwhals?
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Right? They're shy, gentle giants. It was really weird to see them. It was so much fun, though one of them got a little feisty and got me right behind the back on the shoulder blades. But it's okay though, it's okay. It's okay.
You got scratched.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure you're okay?
Yeah, I got my shots, I'm totally fine.
Is something wrong?
Do you hear that? Do you?
Or what?
That noise, that screeching, crackling noise.
I'm hearing.
Sounds like a whale.
Okay, so I'll see you in class.
Goodbye?
Let's look at the horn.
It's an astral horn. Oh my gosh.
I would get this checked out if I were you.
Really? I don't want to keep it though. I like it.
You can keep it.
I could be a narwhal.
Just check it out. Just check it out.
Fine. Fine. After I turned into a narwhal, I didn't fit in school anymore, so I ran back to where it all began, the Arctic. It was there that I was accepted by them. I became one of them, and I lived there for the rest of my life.
Welcome back, Marysville, and I'm here with I'm Chris. I'm here with Brian.
Yep.
And Emily.
Emily.
Yeah.
And if you just tuned in, this is Charger Chat, student-run live TV show where we interview various interesting people. And Brian's interesting.
He is one of the owners of Wandering Havoc Games.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What led you to decide to be the owner of Havoc? Or one of the owners, I should say.
It was mainly it was mainly a challenge. The challenge I'd always wanted to kind of own a business, but I never really had a good idea of what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And like I was saying earlier, I was hanging out at this game store a lot, and they needed a third owner. And it just so happened to work out really well. And
Good.
My wife, basically, when she found the game store, she came home that day and she's like, "I'm adopting this store." And I'm like, "What does that mean?" Turns out that it was a little more literal than we'd anticipated.
Yeah.
So
you talked about being like a business owner. How would you say it is being a business owner in Marysville?
it's not too bad, actually. We have a few challenges, like the population size in Marysville is a little bit of a challenge, just because we don't have, 500,000 people like if we were down in Bellevue or something like that.
Yeah.
We don't have as many people just kind of wandering around that might be interested in going to this type of a store. But to counterbalance that, we do get a lot of people who drive like all the way from Mount Vernon or out from Granite Falls,
Linwood.
that kind of thing, because we're one of the few stores in the area.
Yeah.
So it's been very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's great that you're like overcoming those kind of challenges.
Yeah.
But would you say there's any like struggles when you first got into the business?
It was when the store originally started up. We were over on 5th Street, and our address was basically State Street, but the entrance to the store is around the corner, right? So everybody would come looking for the store and not see it on State Street, and then they'd either give up, which is a terrible thing for a business owner.
Yeah.
Or they'd just call us, and then we'd have to explain. And the reason why we ended up in that spot is the building was mostly empty at the time. They were having a hard time finding renters. We were in the middle of a recession, that kind of a thing. And the people who were renting the building out were like, okay, you're going to sign a 3-year lease, but the first 6 months are free. So we didn't have to pay rent for the first 6 months. So
Good deal.
So basically what happened was one of the owners cashed out his vacation pay, took like $700. We went down to a distributor and filled is an exaggeration. We bought games to go on the shelf. And that was it. That's how we started. And so it's just been a gradual, like from that $700 start, now we're at the point where we've moved twice. We're in a location you can actually see from State Street now, right next to Alfie's.
Perfect spot too.
It's a beautiful spot. I love the spot. It's been great for us.
Yeah.
But the challenge has just basically been it's a cash flow issue.
Yeah.
Every single week we've got bills we have to pay. We have a couple of part-time employees now, and that's a huge amount of pressure, because when it's just the owners, it's like, well, if the store doesn't make any money, that's fine. We'll just close the place down and move on.
Yeah.
But now that we're actually supporting some people, it's like, oh man, we don't want that to happen anymore. We're really, it gives us that extra motivation to kind of make sure that we're doing things correctly so that we don't let these people down,
Yeah. And would you say that there was any mistakes in owning the business? Like, have you and the other owners done anything that you regret doing?
There have been a couple of conventions that we signed up for big.
Yeah.
Like we went to, I want to say Dragonflight one year, and we were like, okay, we're going to do like this huge miniatures tournament.
Yeah.
And so we spent a month and a half building terrain for this miniatures tournament, like, you know, forests and hills and little like flat pieces that looked like ponds and that kind of stuff. And then we get to the event, and it turns out they'd scheduled like 4 other things in that same time slot. And so we had 4 people show up.
Oh.
That was terrible.
Yeah.
You know, all that time. Like, if you walk into the store, you'll see this. We have this one shelf that's got all of our terrain on it, and you'll see like 40, 50 copies of trenches and 40, 50 copies of hills, and they're in tubs, and we've got them stored. And
would you ever crack them open again and try it again?
It depends. We don't actually have a lot of miniatures gamers in the store right now.
Interesting.
We mainly do Magic is probably our biggest thing.
Yeah.
It's just so easy for people to get into.
Yeah.
It doesn't require a lot of commitment. And then like role play games like D&D and then board games are probably both really close seconds. Miniatures, the most popular miniatures game recently has been the X-Wing miniature game.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that.
And I mean, who doesn't want to fly a little X-Wing or TIE fighter around, you know? It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the game's really, really simple, but we don't have a lot of people who continuously, like week after week after week, show up in the store and play. So it's very difficult to get something organized going. So.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So can I just like, I know both of you play Magic, but like, for someone who's never like really heard of it before, can you guys give me a lowdown on what it is exactly?
Sure. Magic's a card game that's been around for a little over 20 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a lot of history. But basically what you do is you either go buy a starter deck or you just go buy booster packs, and the booster packs have like 15 cards in them. And what you want to do is you want to build a deck that strategically kind of synergizes certain abilities so that you can basically compete with whoever you're playing against and do
win.
better than they do.
Yeah.
The concept of Magic is that you're a planeswalker, right?
Yeah.
You're this guy who has this ability to shift between different planes of existence, and the different Magic sets are all themed on different planes. So you have like the Ravnica plane, and you have the Innistrad plane, and you have the Zendikar plane, and the different planeswalkers show up on the different planes. Well, as a player, you're a planeswalker. You put together your list of spells that you can cast, and your resources, which are called mana, and you put all of that into like a 60-card-ish deck, and play.
Yeah.
Oh.
So when you're playing, what you're doing, what it is sort of virtually, is you're a magician essentially, and you're casting these spells trying to do damage to your opponent. And your opponent is casting spells trying to prevent that from happening and trying to get back at you at the same time. So it has this sort of, whenever I'm playing, I have that sort of in the back of my head because it's just so fun to picture.
How many formats would you say Magic has?
Oh man.
Because I know there's Commander and then Modern and Standard, but I hear there's more.
There's so many formats, and people just keep making up more because the game is so flexible.
Yeah.
So the Standard is generally what we play during like Friday Night Magic, which is our organized play thing. We do that every Friday night, starts at 6.
Yeah.
Commander is a very casual format, and the nice thing about that is it allows you to play with cards from the entire history of the game. So you've got 20 years of cards to pull from.
Yeah.
Modern lets you go back like 10 years, and then there's Vintage and Legacy, which again let you play from the entire set.
Yeah.
But then there's all these others too. There's like there's Mini Masters, where you just basically take 15 lands and a pack of Magic, you slam it together, and that's your deck.
Yeah.
And so that's a fun format to play, especially in a tournament, because in tournament rules, every time you win, they hand you another pack, and you can use that to augment your deck and make it better.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of fun things you can do with Magic.
This is all extremely fascinating. I love it, but we have to take another short intermission break. Now, I hope you, Marysville, enjoy this little story of a little twist of another story that we all know and love or hate, Twilight.
Hey,
What?
you bumped into me. That wasn't very nice.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
How about we get dinner sometime? But not right now, because I gotta go, but later.
And take a look at our cupboard, it's getting so scattered and bare. And I begin to wonder.
Hey. Are you coming?
Oh, hey.
Are you ready for the date tonight? Hey. Wait, what time are you picking me up?
8?
Okay.
Hey, I need to tell you something.
What?
That guy you're gonna go on a date with, he's kind of my brother.
Oh, that's okay. He's hot.
Yeah, you know, I'm just gonna go talk to him really quick.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll see you later.
Hey, when were you gonna tell me that you're gonna go on a date with my best friend?
Kinda wasn't.
With the girl. Going on a date with a girl. You.
Yeah. I kinda couldn't get out of it, but I'll figure something out.
Alright, it's up to you, but the girl, you know that, right?
Yes, I know.
So, my father showed me this one place, and I think it would be perfect.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. Oh no, they're closed. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I don't really eat anyways.
Oh, let's go for a walk.
Okay.
Okay. It's a glorious day.
Especially without the sun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's something I need to tell you.
Yes.
I'm
You're a vampire. It's okay. It's okay.
I'm gay.
Silly goose, you're just a vampire.
No, he really is gay. I've known him my whole life. He's gay.
Oh. My heart hurts. I must go find a werewolf. Ah!
I am a vampire.
Welcome back, Marysville. And I'm still your host, Emily. And he's still my co-host, Chris. And this is Brian.
Still.
Still. So, now, do you... Sorry,
you want to start
we're
this?
just crossing over each other. You go, okay.
So, how long would you say you've been in the business of gaming?
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to remember. It was 2012, 11, I think. So close to 5 years is how long I've been involved. Havoc's been open for a little bit longer. I think we opened in April of 2009. We actually opened on April Fool's Day. So it's a great anniversary date.
It's like, we're open, April Fools.
Yeah. And then when we moved to the last time, we moved on April 1st, on April Fool's Day as well, and we were reopened again on April Fool's Day. So that was sort of a nice repetition, I guess.
No, there's no need to memorize 2 different dates of opening up, too.
Right,
So it's perfect.
exactly.
Yeah.
Makes it easy to remember.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been in, you talked about being in the business, but how long would you say you've been into the whole gaming scene?
Since I've kind of had 2 different sections of my life that was sort of devoted to it, I guess the last time around it's probably been close to 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
something like that.
It's pretty long too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my life.
Yeah. So now we're going to talk about the gamers themselves.
Sure.
Do you think if a rise of gamers just suddenly appeared out of nowhere, would that be good or bad for the community money-wise? Like, would you be out of stock really fast and then have to do a bunch of stuff, or?
Well, that would be a fantastic problem. As far as for the community, though, it just depends, really.
Yeah.
The community that we have right now is fantastic. Everybody's pretty friendly. Everybody gets along with each other, and the really nice thing is everybody's like, they're super helpful. Like, you know, if you just show up and you're like, I just bought this Magic deck, how do I play with it? I mean, I've got guys who are going to compete in like the Grand Prix tournaments who are like, sure, sit down, I'll show you how this works, you know?
Yeah.
And there's not so much that like elitism, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they're usually really good at, okay, no. Pull these 2 cards out, put these 2 cards in, now see how much better this works, how much easier it flows, that kind of thing. And then, but I think that if we got a bunch of people all at once, I would just hope that they were all just as friendly. If they weren't, that would be kind of a problem.
Definitely. So you said that the community helps you out and stuff, and Alfie's is right next door to you guys, and I hear that you guys strike up deals sometimes working with the players of Magic and stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like during our pre-release events, when we kind of preview cards from the upcoming sets, we usually go next door to Alfie's and we're like, hey, we're going to have a bunch of people here. Can you do like a half-price pizza deal for anybody who comes over and says, hey, we're over at Alfie's? And the cool thing is that they'll actually, most of the time, they're willing to, like, they'll bring your food over instead of you having to keep checking back.
Yeah.
Depends on how busy they are, obviously.
Yeah.
But they've been really, really good to us.
Good.
Same thing with the place just on the other side, which would be Nom's. They do like American diner food. They do like breakfast and lunch.
Yeah.
So when we have like the early morning stuff, oh my gosh, you can go over there for like $10. You get a gigantic plate of like pancakes and bacon and that kind of stuff, and they deliver it.
That tastes delicious.
That's fantastic.
Now.
I know. Oh, I just ate breakfast and oh my goodness. Just hearing all of that, it's like, oh, that sounds so delicious.
We could go do it again.
Yeah. What do you hope for the future? Like, of the future of Havoc? What do you hope? Do you want it to expand, or?
The main thing that I'm hoping for in the future is just to kind of expand our community a little bit more. Every time we bring in a new game or a new group of people, it helps both the store and the community out. And we just kind of want to keep plugging along and doing what we've been doing. It's worked really well for us. We focus on, when you walk into our store, we've got like one wall that's got product on it, and the whole rest of the entire room is filled with tables and space for you to play.
Yeah.
And we focus more on getting people just to come in and play, hang out, enjoy themselves. And then after you've been there for a while, you know, hey, you want a soda? We've got sodas. We'll sell you sodas. You want to check out this board game? Hey, we're hoping you buy it from us. You don't go online and buy it, that kind of thing. So that's sort of our business strategy, is to just focus on the community, and then the rest will come.
So this has been a great conversation, but unfortunately we are almost out of time.
Yeah.
So stay tuned, Marysville. We have one more segment left, and then we'll just say our goodbyes after. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Did you hear that?
Are you speaking? Am I speaking? What is this? Do you hear me? I hear me. This is weird.
But it's fun. I mean, we could do this now. Cool. Let's see. Does it make a noise? That's interesting.
Ah! Ah!
Let there be color.
Yeah, it looked the same earlier. But I got the colors.
This is one color.
Oh my gosh, this has so many colors. What is all of this?
Oh my god, colors. I like that color the best. What color?
We can tell everyone.
This is wonderful. What is this? These colors do
We had to tell everyone. This is just. We had to tell everyone.
Well, let's go tell everyone.
Yes.
And welcome back, Marysville. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have left. I'm your host, Emily,
I'm her co-host, Chris.
and this is Brian. Do you have any last words before we close out?
No, it's been fun being here.
Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for watching Marysville.